I mean, you've had it pretty good. So there's a degree of jealousy involved. Paul is a bitch, and I will say that here publicly. If anyone wants, I'll fight him for free. Logan Paul doesn't believe in any of the things he says. Logan Paul is a man, if you ever were unfortunate enough to consume his content, I get sent clips of it all the time by people mocking him.
Both Andrew Tate, and to be honest, everyone with a working brain have had enough of Jake Paul and Logan Paul, who are once again ruining combat sports like two unclean sewer rats. These two are presenting another overhyped, overscripted farce masquerading as a bout on March 27th, treating boxing like a lucrative reality show a la WWE. Let's go right to the point. Showing off one's abilities isn't the point of this tournament. This is about selling PPPVs, manipulating their fan base, and snatching up as much attention as possible before people realize the hoax.
He said, oh, I think he even said in this video he made about me, when you get canceled, you know, Andrew's pretending he doesn't care and he's some stoic warrior, but I know how much it hurts. Logan, it hurt you because you're a bitch. I don't give a fuck. I've been saying I'm going to get canceled for the last 2 years. Logan is a man who will say anything he thinks he is supposed to say so that the people in charge of him don't take his YouTube channel away. Because if he loses it, he has nothing else.
The quintessential corporate sellout, Grandpa Paul, is a man who has no true beliefs, no spine, and no devotion to anything other than his cash account. Logan was all over Tate before he was banned, reposting his videos and behaving as though he admired him. However, as soon as Tate was canceled, Logan changed sides more quickly than a cheap politician on election day. Tate became troublesome all of a sudden. It was alleged that Gan was out here repeating the usual clumsy business platitudes about Tate being a negative influence.
I didn't believe what he's saying. He's bought and sold. He's a puppet. He's a clown. And his clown is, when you're a clown, right?
Logan Paul has built his entire career on controversy, scams, and outright clown behavior. This is the same guy who thought it was a good idea to film a dead body in Japan's Aokigahara forest and laugh about it for views. The same Logan Paul who jumped on the cryptocurrency bandwagon, launched a scam project, stole millions from his followers, and then acted like it never happened. Now suddenly he wants to stand on some kind of moral high ground. Logan, let's be real. You don't have principles, you don't have integrity, and you definitely don't have a genuine personality. Everything you say and do is pre-approved by your corporate handlers, and you'll keep dancing to their tune as long as the checks keep clearing. As for this so-called fighting career, if you can even call it that, it's just another joke. He barely made it through an amateur fight with KSI, and instead of proving himself in real combat sports, he ran straight to WWE, the land of scripted fights and choreographed drama. Even your grandma knows those matches are fake. But that's exactly where Logan belongs, throwing staged punches in a circus of over-the-top theatrics. He's playing the role of a tough guy, fully aware that no one's actually trying to hurt him. Logan Paul isn't a fighter, an influencer, or even an entertainer. He's a manufactured product designed to stir up just enough chaos to keep people watching. But beneath all the noise, there's nothing real, nothing authentic. It's all a facade, carefully crafted to keep his name in the headlines while he lasts his way to the bank, leaving his fans and critics alike to clean up the mess he leaves behind. Logan Paul's fight with Floyd Mayweather was a complete joke. Mayweather carried him through 8 rounds like he was babysitting a toddler. If Floyd had actually wanted to fight, Logan would have been unconscious before the 2nd round, but Logan needed to survive to keep the scam alive, so they turned the whole thing into a glorified sparring session. Logan isn't a fighter. He's a walking marketing campaign in boxing gloves, selling hype and fake drama while real fighters risk their lives in the ring. He's not there to compete. He's there to perform. A clown in a sideshow masquerading as a boxer. And then there's Jake Paul, the so-called problem child, who's really just a privileged, attention-starved YouTuber pretending to be a boxer. Jake built his entire fake boxing career by cherry-picking opponents like a scam artist picking his next victim. His fights are against retired MMA fighters with zero boxing experience, undersized influencers, and washed-up athletes past their prime. Every single opponent was carefully selected to make Jake look good and inflate his reputation. Both Logan and Jake have turned boxing into a circus, exploiting the sport for quick cash and cheap fame while disrespecting the athletes who dedicate their lives to it.
However, I do understand what he's doing. I understand that he is very, very smart, even with his marketing angle. I'm just a YouTuber. You're not just a YouTuber. You're a full-grown man with the best coaches in the world who's dedicated his life to learning how to box for years. You know how to box. You're not a complete amateur. You know how to box very well. 3, 4, 5 years of training combat sports. You can box.
They're not in it for the love of the sport or the competition. They're in it for the spectacle, the headlines, and most importantly, the money. In the end, they're just performers, playing tough guys in a carefully scripted act. And his most recent masterpiece, A Bout with Mike Tyson. 58 for a moment. Let's see how cowardly it is to fight a man who is nearly qualifying for a senior citizen discount and call yourself a serious fighter. Although Mike Tyson is undoubtedly a legend, this isn't 191,986. And it's obvious that this isn't Tyson, who was knocking people down in 90 seconds. Jake is aware that this merchant is taking advantage of non-nostalgia. 58 was serious about boxing. He would be battling young, aggressive, and hostile fighters. But he isn't because he is aware of the potential consequences.
Because he's allowed himself to become the biggest clown on the internet, and now he's famous, right? Because he's an idiot, but he has a bunch of money, so he gets to...
Let's talk about the first time Jake Paul fought Tony Fury. For once, Jake wasn't up against a retired MMA fighter with no boxing skills, an undersized influencer, or a washed-up athlete. He finally faced someone his own age, his own size, and most importantly, someone with real boxing experience. And what happened? He got humbled. The moment Jake couldn't rely on his usual cherry-picked opponents, the illusion shattered. He wasn't the knockout artist he claimed to be. He wasn't the next big thing in boxing. He was just another YouTuber who got exposed the second he stepped into the ring with a legitimate boxer. So, what did Jake do after that loss? Did he step up, learn from his mistakes, and challenge another real boxer? Nope. He ran right back to his old formula, fighting aging ex-UFC fighters, influencers with no real skill, and anyone who wouldn't threaten his carefully manufactured image. It's not about competition for Jake. It's about keeping the scam alive. He's not in boxing to prove anything athletically. He's here to sell hype, fake beef, and make sure the money keeps rolling in. And speaking of fake beef, let's not forget the so-called rivalry between Jake and Logan Paul. It's about as real as Logan's WWE matches and Jake's padded boxing record. This isn't about personal grudges or competitive spirit. It's a business stunt, plain and simple. A scripted drama designed to stir controversy and rake in millions from gullible fans who can't see through the act. Andrew Tate has already called them out, exposing their lack of loyalty and authenticity. Jake and Logan aren't fighting because they genuinely hate each other. They're fighting because it's a multi-million-dollar payday, and they know people will eat it up. This isn't new for the Paul brothers. It's the same recycled playbook they've been using for years. Fake drama, exaggerated feuds, and ridiculous WWE-style storylines. They manufacture tension, drop some staged social media insults, throw in a few dramatic face-offs, and act like they're settling real scores in the ring. But behind the scenes, they're laughing all the way to the bank. It's the most blatant cash grab in combat sports history, and the worst part, it works because people are naive enough to believe it. Just look at Logan teaming up with KSI, the same guy who publicly humiliated Jake in their fight. If this rivalry were real, that would have been a massive red flag. What kind of brother partners with his sibling's biggest enemy just for a payday? But that's exactly what Logan did. He and KSI co-own Prime Energy, a cheap, sugar-filled scam drink they peddle to their fan base while pretending to be fighters. And now, Logan's supposedly fighting Jake.
Thing to do with some sort of episodic thing, right? That was my first thought. This is not a fight. This is some sort of episodic or documentary style.
Come on. It's so obviously staged, it's insulting to anyone with an IQ higher than room temperature. At the end of the day, Logan and Jake aren't enemies. They're business partners. This entire grudge match is just another money-printing scheme disguised as a legitimate fight. It's all smoke and mirrors, designed to keep their names in the headlines and their bank accounts growing. The real joke isn't in the ring. It's on the fans who keep falling for it. Let's be real. The only fight that actually matters is Andrew Tate versus Jake Paul. That's the matchup that would settle everything, and deep down, everyone knows it. But guess what? Jake doesn't want that smoke. Tate has already gone on record saying he's been in talks with Jake's team, but Jake refuses to sign the contract. Why? Because he knows exactly what would happen if he stepped into the ring with a real fighter. Jake dodges legitimate fights like his life depends on it, carefully curating his opponents to maintain the illusion that he's a serious boxer. Tate has already exposed Jake on multiple fronts, especially calling out his alleged steroid use. And let's be honest, Jake's transformation isn't exactly subtle. He bulks up unnaturally fast, jumps between weight classes like it's nothing, and his physique has all the telltale signs of synthetic enhancements. If Jake ever agreed to fight Tate, he'd have to submit to rigorous drug testing, and there's a good chance he wouldn't even pass. That's just another reason this fight will probably never happen. Jake knows he can't hide behind the usual smoke and mirrors with Tate. Against a world champion kickboxer with a legitimate combat sports record, there's nowhere to run and nowhere to hide. While Tate has fought real battles, won real titles, and faced real opponents, Jake's entire career has been a carefully orchestrated scam. His fights are nothing more than glorified exhibitions against cherry-picked opponents. Retired MMA fighters with no boxing background, over-the-hill athletes, and social media influencers with zero experience in the ring. But when it comes to Tate, that strategy crumbles. There's no way to rig the outcome or stage a win. Tate's been in the trenches of combat sports, while Jake's been busy playing dress-up in the boxing world. And what's all this nonsense with Jake and Logan supposedly squaring off? That's just another distraction, another phony fight designed to fool the masses into thinking they're watching something real. These two clowns have somehow managed to convince people they're legitimate fighters when, in reality, everything they do is a business strategy designed to generate headlines and cash in on controversy. It's all a carefully crafted act, and the worst part, their brainwashed fans actually believe it. People are throwing money at these scripted fights, thinking they're watching a genuine rivalry unfold, when in reality, Logan and Jake are business partners laughing all the way to the bank. Andrew Tate is sitting back, laughing at how easily people fall for this nonsense. He's already exposed how simple it is for the Paul brothers to manipulate their audience into funding their scams. This isn't about competition. It's about selling drama, manufacturing controversy, and keeping Logan and Jake's names in the headlines. The biggest scam in combat sports history is unfolding right in front of everyone's eyes, and fans are willingly buying into it. It's not even subtle anymore. It's a blatant money grab disguised as a rivalry. Jake and Logan aren't fighters. They're not warriors. They're not even competitors. They're businessmen, content creators, and reality show actors who've turned boxing into a joke. This fight isn't about pride or proving who's the best. It's just another business transaction, and the real losers are the fans gullible enough to pay for it. Andrew Tate sees right through it, and so does anyone with an IQ higher than a glass of water. This isn't boxing. This isn't about legacy. This is a money-making circus, and Jake and Logan